Success is a terrible teacher. You learn a lot more from failures. Here in the UK, we are really bad at embracing failure, and it is really important that you learn to when starting your own business. I think a lot of people look at startups in a very binary way. They either succeed or they fail. And actually, I think it's more nuanced than that. I think that they succeed and fail multiple times each day. But these daily failures do not mean that your overall business has to fail. And provided that you learn from them, you can use that knowledge to help avoid making the same mistakes again. I have experienced many failures myself, and I've seen a lot of companies make even more. And in this video, I want to highlight what I have seen as being 10 of the most common reasons why a business fails and give you some tips on how to avoid making the same mistakes. So number 1 is team. Specifically, having the wrong team in place. If your business model aims to provide a technology solution to doctors and how they record patient information, but no one in the team has any experience or knowledge of the healthcare world, then it's unlikely to be successful. This does not mean that the business model is a bad one. It's just unlikely to be successfully executed by a team who's made up of former professional athletes, for example. On the other hand, the former athletes are probably more likely to be able to execute the idea of a fitness app which tracks professional athletes' progress over a season. This is why a lot of investors are more interested in the team behind the idea as opposed to just the idea itself. Number 2 is there being only a single founder. Research has shown that businesses with only one founder are statistically more likely to fail. And I think the reason for this is down to 2 main things. Firstly, starting a business is really hard. And if you don't have someone to share the enormous burden that is placed on you, you're more likely to give up as the pressure becomes too much. Secondly, starting a business requires a lot of things to be done, covering a very wide range of skill sets. And it's unlikely that one person will have the skills to do all of these things well. I've always advised the founder of a business to list out all of the skills that they have and all of the skills required to execute the business plan, and then hire a team to fill in the gaps. If you are a sole founder who is a tech developer, chances are you should find a co-founder who has experience in marketing who can actually help sell the product you are building. A good team is made up of people with very different skill sets. Number 3 is being slow to launch. One of the most common things I hear from entrepreneurs over the years is that while they are building their idea, they don't want to tell anyone about it in case someone steals it. With all due respect, there are nearly 8 billion people in the world, and the chances are that someone has probably thought of your idea. And actually, there is a good chance that someone is trying to solve the same problem as you right now. Just remember that the value of the idea is probably about 5% of the overall value. How that idea is executed is the remaining 95%. The sooner that you can get your idea out there and start receiving feedback from your customers, the better chance you have of succeeding. Following on from this is number 4, which is failing to speak to your customers. Building your product in a vacuum is dangerous. No matter how good you think your product is, until you actually put it in the hands of your customers and start to get feedback, then you will never actually know whether it is the right solution or not. I think a lot of founders are scared to put their business out there until they think it is perfect. If you imagine that your competitor launches their product before you, even though it may be less than perfect, while you wait and continue to develop yours behind closed doors, then your competitor will be receiving real feedback directly from the customer and can use that feedback to iterate their product more quickly. By the time you launch yours, your competitor has already got a superior product in the customer's eyes because they've solved the problems highlighted by the customers themselves. Number 5 is failing to pivot. When a business pivots, it means that it changes direction from its original path in response to what the feedback has been in the market. For example, I remember reading about a business in my local area that used to provide conservatories, glass extensions that would go on people's houses. One day, they realized that the profit margins on the window blinds were significantly more than the conservatories themselves. So they pivoted the business away from building conservatories to providing just window blinds. They successfully sold the window blind business for millions. If they had failed to pivot and instead had stuck with the original idea, then it's unlikely that they would have been anywhere near as successful. This is also linked to point number 3 about talking to customers, because only once your product is in the market and you listen to customer feedback do you know if your original plan was the right one. Number 6 is lack of focus. In my experience, trying to be everything to everyone ends up being nothing for no one. If you are trying to be a coffee shop, which also hosts yoga classes and has live bands playing at lunchtime, then chances are that neither people who enjoy coffee, yoga, or live music will want to go there. It is much better to focus on one or two things and be brilliant at those. Number 7 is taking dumb money. If you need to fundraise for your business, try and make sure that you're receiving more than just cash. Smart money comes in the form of support, mentorship, advice, connections, and so on, in addition to the actual funds invested. Where you need to be really careful is accepting money that's not just dumb, but actually harmful. For example, if you take money from a wealthy investor who made their money in the 90s in print magazines, and they insist on being actively involved in the day-to-day running of your fitness app, are they actually going to be adding any value? And worse, are they going to actually hinder your progress? Number 8 is ego. A lot of founders I've met over the years have done a fantastic job of coming up with an idea and launching the business into the marketplace with little or no outside help. But as the business starts to grow quickly and the company takes on more and more employees, often the lack of experience of the founder in scaling a business starts to impact on the ability of the company to capitalize on this growth. There is nothing wrong with this, provided that the founder can recognize when this is happening and put their ego to one side, as the company brings in someone with more experience to run the day-to-day operations and help scale the business. Relinquishing this control can be really hard for a founder, but if they don't and their ego gets in the way, the business can quickly start to go downhill. Number 9 is culture. The culture of a business is really important, as the people are usually the most valuable asset that a startup has. If you have a toxic culture with a high turnover of employees because no one enjoys working there, this will significantly impact on your ability to grow. At Seedrs, we spent a lot of time cultivating a work hard, play hard culture, which was always respectful of each other. We actually saw this as an investment because people genuinely enjoyed working there and were happy to give more to the job than was strictly required. It's really important to remember that the culture comes from the top and quickly trickles down. And finally, number 10 is spending too much money. This may sound obvious, but there's a shocking statistic from a few years ago that found that 60% of small businesses that failed ran out of cash, but were actually profitable at the time. This is simply a case of not keeping an eye on costs and cash flow. The effect is obviously running out of money, but the cause is spending too much. This is why having a well-documented business plan with financials and a budget is key, regardless of whether you're setting up a local floristry business or a highly scalable tech one. I have often heard entrepreneurs say they are too busy to come up with a financial plan, and this is a massive red flag for me. Regardless of what type of business you are, you need to make money, and you need to be profitable, and you need enough cash to cover your expenses when they are due. And you can only do this if you have a clear plan on how to make money, i.e. your sales targets, what your costs are in order to make that money, i.e. your profitability, and when cash will be arriving in your account so that you can actually pay your costs and not run out of money. So there you have the 10 most common reasons why I think a business fails. And hopefully you are now more aware of some of the pitfalls that can trip you up. You have a lot going against you as a business owner, and the stats show that a lot of small businesses will fail. However, knowing why businesses fail and understanding how you can mitigate against the risks will greatly increase your chances of not being one of them. As always, any questions, please let me know.